Hey guys, how's it going? It is a beautiful section of the day. We just had the craziest storm roll through. I'm filming this video very early because I have a crazy week this week that you guys are seeing this video. But we just had the craziest storm roll through. We just got some hail and it destroyed a ton of my tulips that we have in this bed. But that's okay because they were getting close to being done. But it would have been nice to have a few more days to end now that this crazy storm rolled through. And I have like probably, I'm gonna guess maybe an hour and a half of sunshine. I'm out here and I'm gonna try to get a project done, and it's gonna be along this fence right here. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for probably about 2 weeks now. I've had everything, I just haven't had the time, or the weather hasn't lined up with it. So now I'm getting out here and I'm gonna get this done, and I'm so excited. We're doing kind of a, I'm gonna do some training of some plants. We're not doing like an espalier in essence. We are just gonna grow some creeping fig, but I am going to put in some security measures to make sure that it doesn't start flopping along the fence. I want it to like grow on there, and I want it to stand there and look really, really pretty. So I'm gonna turn the camera around, show you guys. It's a mess over there, so bear with me. And then we're gonna clean it up, and then we'll get the figs planted. The creeping figs, not fig trees. This is the area we're gonna work on, and I'm going to be growing some creeping fig along the fence right here. I need to come in and I need to move everything. I have this Italian cypress that I trimmed into, oh, I just slipped. I have an Italian cypress that I trimmed into a topiary, like a spiral, and I need to come in and I need to do some pruning on that again. I've got some plants down here. This is like my hoard of plants. Gardenias, Dusty Miller. I've got a pothos that fell. And then these are my creeping fig. I have all of my mulch. I need to pick up probably about 10 or 15 more bags of this, and then an even larger hoard of plants back here. So let me go over these really quick. And so we'll talk about the specs on them, because I love creeping fig so much. We grow it in the backyard. It's one of my favorites. I love these leaves, and creeping fig is really pretty. So it clings on to the surface that it's growing on, does kind of what ivy does, and on the back of it, it's got these little like suckers that it produces right here, and these little tendrils will stick onto whatever you grow it onto. A lot of people will grow it on their house, and they'll grow it at the house, but then it leaves these little sucker marks, just like ivy does. And so I'm growing it along the fence over here, so that way when it suckers onto the fence, it can stay there and I don't have to worry about it. And I'm gonna be able to trim it, and it's gonna grow, it's gonna fill this thing in, and this white fence will become a really beautiful green fence. My goal is to get it to go here, and so it'll just take over this entire wall right here. I bought 3, but I think I'm only gonna use 2 of them, and I'm gonna save the 3rd one for another project. I don't exactly know, but 2 of these 2 right here look really full, and this one isn't quite as full. And I really don't think that the wall needs 3 of them. I think these were like $12. The price isn't on there anymore, but I think they were like $12 a plant. And it's just really pretty. I love creeping fig. It says that it can get 6 to 12 feet tall, but I know that it can get so much taller than that. If you grow it on the ground, it will take root into the ground, just like ivy does. I mean, you want to treat the stuff basically like it's ivy. This isn't one that you want to really train into like an espalier. This is one that you want to like use to fill out a wall, or you want it to like take over an area. This is the plant that you want. You want to make sure that you grow it somewhere that it gets like partial sun, dappled sun. You don't want it to be sitting in full sun. I have made that mistake where I planted it somewhere that it was full sun. It is so windy, and I'm sorry. And it just kind of burns. It doesn't do good with like hot, intense sun. If you're gonna plant it somewhere that's full sun, make sure it's just full morning sun, not the hot afternoon sun. So this is an area that these are gonna get planted that it gets like a little bit of sun. You can see right there, but for the most part it's like shade, but it's very bright and direct light. Like I'm having a hard time keeping my eyes open because it's very bright over here. We already have one that we grow in our backyard. I'm gonna take you guys back there to show you guys that. These do need a lot of fertilizer though. They're very hungry plants. I've heard some people say that they're not hungry plants, but I'm telling you right now, they're hungry. They like a lot of fertilizer. They do a lot better with fertilizer. The one that we have in the backyard, I had it growing in a container. It's still in the container, and I hadn't fertilized it for like a year and a half, and I watched it slowly decline. And then I took out some of the old crummy soil that was in there, and I gave it new potting soil, and I gave it new fertilizer, and it took off, and it was so much happier. So let me show you guys that one that's back there. This is the creeping fig that we have growing. It's in a container, and it's got this like metal orb on it. And this one's probably about 2 years old, and for like a year, like I said, I didn't fertilize it. What I do normally do is I come in and I kind of like weave these around to let it like fill this ball in, and it's mostly filled it in. I mean, it's basically a sphere, and then you can see it's starting to grow up. But you can also see, if you leave it on your house, this is what it does. So this is all damage from that. I personally do not care. I think it's worth it. And so I'm gonna let it just continue to grow up. I think what I will do though is if they come to the actual house, I'm gonna just trim them. These do really well with trimming and like being kept in check. So I can get it to grow, and I can get it to grow in a very tight space like this and keep it nice and bushy, nice and full, and it'll be really happy. And I just come in and I'll, you know, trim anything that comes over it. I'm expecting this year for it to really take off, and I'm expecting it to fully hit probably about there, so almost reaching the top of this area over here. You can see that it is growing along the side of this terracotta pot, and you can see like it's growing around the gutter. I would love if it covered the gutter and, you know, started to grow around this side here. I've seen companies before where they use creeping fig on like wire structures, and they'll use it to create like a topiary of like an animal or something. And basically it's like a wire structure that you do, and you grow the creeping fig up it, and then you just keep it trimmed to that shape. So much easier than like boxwood, and it grows so much faster. So I think I want to like grow it along the fence and have it like stay in check that way. But then I also think I want to like see if I can get like a cool form or something like that and grow the creeping fig up that and have like a really cool like piece in my garden that's covered in creeping fig. So we're gonna head back to the shed really quick so I can grab a couple pieces that I need to be able to do this project, because it's not gonna immediately start suckering to the fence. So I'm gonna have to help train it a little bit, and let's go back there and I'll show you guys what you need. All that we need for this is a pair of wire cutters. We need these 1/8 of an inch eye screws. We're gonna use a long-handled screwdriver. And then we're gonna use some wire. I specifically like to buy the 4-strand, the multi-purpose from Ook, and it's like braided. I bought one that was just a single band of wire that wasn't this like braided, and I do not recommend that. I only recommend this like multi-braided, the 4-strand braided stuff. This is the best. It's not gonna kink on you or like be really annoying, so buy this one. And then we're also going to use a drill, and then a drill bit on this that's slightly smaller than our eye hooks. Okay, we've got this whole section cleaned up. Now I can actually like come over here. I did move a few things just over to this side really quick, and then my plants, because I gotta find somewhere for all of my plants that I am keeping to go. I just don't know where. I don't know where I'm gonna put them yet. Anyways, now I have some ferns in here, and I am gonna be pulling these ferns. I'm not gonna save them just because I have ferns in other areas. This is the Kimberly Queen dwarf fern, and I love the fern. But see how it's in full sun right now? This gets like sunny and it gets hot all summer long, and all of these burn. They go right up to it. So like all of this new growth that's on there has just happened, but in a very short period of time, these are all just gonna burn and get way too hot. And I don't feel like transplanting them right now. I mean, they're really pretty, and I love these ferns. They're so gorgeous. I love them, but I don't know. I have them in other spots on the property, and I love them there. We have one right by our front door. Like, we love this fern. And this one right here was from propagating the one that was by our front door. I just literally pulled some out and then just shoved them in the ground here. And I think I would rather just have the other plants growing here. The ferns just, they're not it. They don't love their lives. Maybe what I'll do is I'll dig some of them up. I'm not doing it. I was gonna say maybe I'll dig some of them up and I'll put them behind the fence over here. I'm not doing that today. That's not what we're doing. We're doing this, and I just need to get rid of the ferns. I can propagate the ferns. I've got the one on our front porch, and I have them by our back door. If I want more, I'll propagate them at a later date. These ones are just they're gonna bite the bullet. I probably should have said this a little bit earlier, but I didn't. So if you want to do creeping fig, you do need to be in some of a warmer zone. It's zone 7B up to zone 11. Those are the zones that this will like be fine in. I think if maybe you're growing it up against a house, you could probably get away with it in like zone 7A, but I don't know if I would risk it. I mean, maybe for like 12 bucks I would risk it growing it. I mean, it's just such a really cool plant. But if you are in somewhat of a colder zone, I've got another plant for you. Colder zone, zone 6. This right here is called a wire vine, and it's really, really pretty. And I would recommend growing this one. This one has some slight variegation to it. Not a whole lot, just some slight variegation. So if you're in zones 6 through 9, I would grow this one. The thing about the wire vine though is it doesn't have the grippers to grip onto anything. I don't even know what they're called. I should know what they're called. They don't have like a way to grip onto anything, so you are going to have to offer it support. So what we're doing today anyways would work for this. If you're wanting to grow it up a wall, you can totally do that. Wire vine is so beautiful. The plant barn that I love going to with the nursery, they have a wall of it and it's so gorgeous. They grow it over a fence and it's really, really pretty. I love it. They even had it growing up over an arbor for a couple years, and then they did cut it all back. Wire vine, if you are in some colder zones, would be perfect for this. But if you're in a higher zone, go with the creeping fig. Now that this is cleared, let me show you guys what we're gonna do. It's really nice because I don't have to do a whole lot of measuring for this project. I'm just gonna like run a wire and it's gonna take care of itself. So all we're gonna do for this project is we're gonna run 3 wires horizontally. You don't have to measure, it doesn't have to be exact like the espalier that I have in my side yard. This can be a little more fudged. Let me show you guys the espalier that we have inside yard in case you haven't seen that. And remember, I just moved everything over here. So this is the espalier that we have in the side yard. And these are ran like at a diagonal, and so they had to be measured, and so each square is the exact same size. This took a lot more work than what we're about to do. We're just gonna run 3 lines straight on the fence, and it's gonna be so much easier. All right, let's get our wire ran now because this is gonna be a very easy and a very fast project. Okay, I have 3 lines in. I still have like, I don't know, 3/4 of this left. I used like maybe a quarter of it. This stuff goes such a long way. So that's nice. I mean, this was like, I think 10 bucks, and the plants were $12 a piece. And so even if I bought this just for this project, $10 plus, I think I'm only gonna use 2 plants, so $24, so 34 bucks to get this entire project done. I think it is so worth it. Oh, also, I think it was like $3 for the like eye screws. So super cheap project. Let's get these planted now. I do need to run back and get my fertilizer because I forgot my fertilizers. So I'm gonna run back and grab that really quickly. I'm gonna be using the EV Stone. This is the Sure Start just because I can find it super easy, but any fertilizer will work. And then I have a trowel. So let's dig those ferns out really quick and then we can get these planted. Finished. I'm covered in mud. My sweater is dirty, but it looks so good. I ended up planting all 3 of them. I thought I was just gonna do the 2, but I spaced it out, and I think 3 just looks better. 2 looked weird, so I went with the 3. It'll fill in that much faster. They all reached that first wire. The very back one right there barely reached it, so it's a little iffy. But I am so happy with how it turned out. It looks so good, and I cannot wait for this to just be a wall of like beautiful green color. It's gonna be so pretty. So let me turn the camera around and I will show you guys what it looks like. This is what it looks like. I mean, you come around the corner, there's the gate, and I've got the 3 here. Like I said, this one will get trained, and I'll train this one to do this little panel right here. It just looks so good. They're evenly spaced. I've got like 5-ish boards in between the two, and I know someone's gonna say something about this bottom board. I'm not replacing it. It's a piece of like plywood. We ran out of boards when we built the fence, and we were like, you know what, just let's finish it and let's just put a piece of plywood on the bottom that we cut to the size that we needed, and it lasted all of like 6 months. And I'm not replacing it because I don't care that much. Eventually it's going to be just covered in green and you won't even see it, so it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And like I said, so we've got the 3 running this way, and then I wound them up to it, and what that's going to do is there's no way this would be sticking straight up. These would just be flopping over right now. So what that's going to do is make it so that I can train them up to this one, they can wind, and then they'll slowly attach themselves to the fence, and it'll creep its way up, and as it creeps its way up and it reaches this next one, I'll wind them here and I'll keep them behind the wire, and then they'll grow up and they'll reach up there. And so should someday for some reason they accidentally like let go of the wall, or like a storm comes and rips it off the wall, they'll be attached still because of the wire, so they won't be going anywhere at all. And this helps them start out like this. That way they're not, you know, just flopping, and I don't have to keep those sticks in there waiting for them to attach. This kind of made it so it looks fuller and they can really just spread and take off on their own. Well, I am really happy with the results on this, and now I cannot wait for this growing season. I think I'm getting them early in enough that they'll be able to root in, and then as the heat gets here, they should be able to kind of like take off and maybe put on some good growth this year. Fingers crossed on that. And I'm gonna have to run drip to this at some point. I do have a drip line. It's like on the outside of this concrete, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to like get it over the concrete barrier. We'll see what happens. That's for a different Robbie to figure out. That's not for today Robbie to figure out. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, because I enjoyed the video. I'm really happy that I was able to get out here. Like I said, I'm getting in between a storm. There's some clouds coming, and I think I'm gonna go inside now. So thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys. Also, because I'm not a monster, I saved the ferns. They're sitting in this container with a little bit of soil at the bottom of them. I mean, you guys get it. You're plant people, I'm plant people. Throwing away plants is easier said than it is done. So they're sitting in this container until I can figure out what to actually do with them.